everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
All right, right on. So I'm Dr. Pat Morrison. I'm the CEO at Support Community. And I'm really excited to be able to kind of present our company's story and kind of where we are and where we're heading. So Support Community, we're on a mission to mobilize and empower nonprofits to maximize their impact. Support Community, we're a social enterprise that creates world-class mobile apps for nonprofits. And what we really want to do, and what was really frustrating to me in my experience working in the nonprofit world, was that none of them were modernized. And so what we want to do is help modernize them and their connection with their constituents to help facilitate social impact around the world. So that's kind of our goal as a company, to be able to specifically work with nonprofits. Now, nonprofits have always needed and wanted mobile apps, but they have always been too expensive and too time consuming to get the mobile app that they want. And while I was working in kind of specifically the Ronald McDonald Houses, really what I noticed was there were some major issues that these nonprofits face that could be solved with a mobile app. So first and foremost, if you look at a nonprofit website, you're going to notice that it's probably trying to recruit you, right, as a donor or a volunteer, but there's not a whole lot of information for families or clients that they help. And so there's not really a digital front door for clients. And so they need a space to be able to kind of show their services and provide services digitally. Communicating with constituents, every nonprofit faces this, and it's a real challenge, and they try to open up as many communication channels as possible to be able to reach people how they want to be reached. And now specifically with COVID-19, it's created a lot of issues throughout the whole nonprofit industry, specifically with service delivery, is a real challenge. And then we look at the service cliff, and this was one thing that I really struggled with while I was working with the Ronald McDonald Houses, was once services end and they go home, it's really challenging to stay in touch with them and to continue to provide them the support that they need to be able to kind of be the best person that they can be. And then fundraising, right? That nonprofits, that's their lifeblood, right? I've never met a nonprofit that's not looking for another fundraising channel. And so, being able to go fully mobile with the mobile app is going to be able to solve a lot of those issues. Now is the time to go mobile. You kind of start looking at what hospitals are doing around the country, around the world, and they're going digital, right? They're providing all these amazing services, and nonprofits are right behind them. So this global pandemic is pushing them towards needing to adopt technology. And what's really exciting is the technology is ready and it's there. And really kind of everybody's on their phone. Everybody's on their phone. And so you can see mobile fundraising is blowing up. It's getting huge. I mean, it already is huge if you look at Giving Tuesdays. And kind of you need to meet your constituents where they are, which is on their phone. And then, right, a lot of nonprofits right now, we faced a lot of spending freezes by nonprofits, and what they're looking for are more fundraising channels because they need to be able to raise more money. So now is the time for nonprofits to be able to invest in technology to be able to kind of accomplish all of these things. So here's the solution. The solution is a mobile app platform that's HIPAA compliant, that's specifically designed for the needs of nonprofits, right? It's not designed for for-profit companies and then adapted to fit into the nonprofit world. This is specifically built for nonprofits in the health space. And when we build mobile apps, what we do throughout everything that we do is we keep a few things in mind. We know that everybody needs information. Everybody needs social and emotional connection, and everybody needs access to resources. And so kind of when we built this platform, those are all the things that we took into consideration to be able to build it out. So it's kind of a B2B2C structure. And so it's fully customizable. We have a suite of about 35 different tools, features, and functions. And so nonprofits are able to pick what fits their needs. And then we're able to kind of build it and launch it and grow it. And what's really unique about kind of the nonprofit and our platform is that we provide tools for every department within a nonprofit. So when you break down a nonprofit, you really come out with operations, family services, volunteer management, and development. And what we learned very quickly when we started this was we need to have tools for all of them, or else not everybody's going to buy in. We started in family services, me as a clinical psychologist, and we learned like I said, we learned very quickly that we need to have tools for everyone. So we went and we worked with our partners that we were partnered with to figure out how we can help operations. How can we help people signing up for the programs? How can we help with specific communications that they need to make with families? And then family services, right? How do we make sure that they're having everything that the clients need to kind of function and to be able to kind of be really productive? And then volunteer management. One of the things is when you have volunteers, you want the people and your clients that you help to come to those activities. And so how can we increase engagement of families in volunteer-run activities? And how do we let volunteers know what their impact is and what their engagement is? And then development, which is fundraising. That's what makes nonprofits go. And so we needed to figure out how to open up some fundraising channels, and specifically peer-to-peer fundraising channels, which are really, really popular right now. So when we look at kind of who we're targeting to be able to help, kind of our target market right now is hospitality homes, such as the Ronald McDonald House, and homeless shelters. And what we want to be able to do is any nonprofit, honestly, that provides a bed to its clients, that's who we're looking to be able to help. And we kind of based these numbers off of our average contract size of about $5,000 per client, and that's in kind of in our beta group. But we fully expect once we kind of prove that value to be able to increase that. That would be awesome. And then we have some next potential, verticals that we're looking at, specifically in health and education, I should say. And it's really, really a big market. What I'm starting to see is that we're having some, I call them kind of random nonprofits come towards us that need a HIPAA compliant solution where they can engage with their constituents. So we actually are starting to hit some of those potential next verticals and be able to kind of test them out. And then the total nonprofit market is really big. There's 1.56 million nonprofits in the US alone. And that's only growing as more needs become known kind of in the United States. So here's our product. So what we did is we knew we needed to come up with a suite of tools to be able to fit any nonprofit. So one of our specific spaces is we want to help build community. So we do have kind of that home feed that we modeled after Facebook, where people can post, blog, share information, a link, kind of whatever it might be. They can post a job that might be available. We also have kind of in regard to operations, we have where they are in their stay. So one of the, this kind of involves communicating with the clients, which is a real challenge, and playing phone tag when a room becomes available. This way, they're able to just send it right to the family or client's phone, and they're able to know exactly where they are in the process of their request was accepted, if they're on the wait list, reminders they're on the wait list, and the user can take certain actions to kind of automate that communication. We also have an events tool, where, nonprofits can list all of their events, and people can sign up for them. We have in-app messaging, which is really cool, so that nonprofits can connect directly with all their constituents. And what's cool in our product too is we have multiple spaces. So a nonprofit would be able to open up a space for their clients, right, or families. They'd be able to open up a space for their volunteers and do volunteer trainings and all that good stuff, and one for their donors and even their team, their internal team, to be able to communicate. And then the holy grail of mobile apps is the push notification. And so we're also able to help nonprofits facilitate sending those out. And then we have a really dynamic admin dashboard that shows all of the statistics and engagement from the users right on the platform. And this is where they can fully customize all of their content. So when you look at our traction, we have, when we first started, you go out and you try and recruit. and you get houses that are like-minded with kind of what we're trying to accomplish. And we partnered with some of the most amazing houses that really wanted a great dynamic mobile app. So these are kind of some of our key partners to start. And if you look at kind of our growth, it's we're in beta testing. We have our beta group where we can prove value, and we've kind of slowly been growing that as word has started to spread about what we're trying to accomplish. So now we're up to 20 partners. So that's 18 Ronald McDonald Houses that we have, as well as 3 other nonprofits in a little bit of different spaces, so that we can create modules for those and go up those verticals as well when we're ready to start ramping up. But our focus is on hospitality homes and homeless shelters. In our beta kind of launch, we've been getting some really great feedback from the houses, and they've been our biggest advocates for what we're trying to do. And so really, we're helping keep families safe, and we're making communication really easy. And those are some of the best benefits that are coming out from what we're doing. So we're really excited about the results. And here's the team that's going to be able to accomplish it. So Dr. Susan Regas is our co-founder. We call her our Chief Therapeutic Officer, where she's kind of on the platform, making sure everything is therapeutic and safe and beneficial for families. Julie is our Chief Success Officer. So she's working with all the houses and ensuring that they have successful builds and launches, and can kind of learn from them, and we can upsell multiple spaces with them. Mike Hogan is a serial entrepreneur. He's definitely my mentor, but he's our head of product. So he's kind of all over it, making sure everything's smooth and running well. And then John Indick, he's our Chief Technology Officer. And he has years and years of experience with mobile. He helped us kind of get to that HIPAA compliant space, which is going to be really critical for us. And then Gino, he has tons of experience with mobile and web development. And then Alora, you can judge her skills from this presentation because she helped design this, but she's very lovely, and she's very, very talented with making our platform very easy to use. When you look at our business model, we call ourselves a mobile app as a service. And so currently, we have 18 paying beta partners. So we have about 7,500 recurring revenue per month. And we have our operational costs kind of sitting right at 40,000 per month. And we fully expect to be able to start hitting growth after this 6-month period, where we can kind of make our product better and make sure we're ready to kind of scale up. And we hope to hit with this kind of next round of fundraising over this 6 to 18 months to be able to scale up to 61 nonprofits and partner with them. And once we kind of figure that out and how to start scaling up and grow and work through our growing pains, we expect to fully hit stability after that 18-month period and start really growing very quickly. And so here's our competition. It's really interesting when you look at the landscape, is that these 2 companies who are our main competitors, Reach and HiveBright, they're not necessarily focused on the nonprofit world. They just create a product for profit and then adapt it into the nonprofit world when they see another potential vertical. So, you can see we're specifically built for hospitality homes, specifically built for nonprofits. And we look at operations, family services, development, volunteer management, messaging, HIPAA compliance. And actually, that's turning out to be really interesting, and I'm happy to share more about that later. And we're integrating with their platforms, which is key, is bringing in their whole technology stack. So we feel really good about where we are and where we sit, and we're really excited to get working. So here's our financial ask. We're in the process of raising 1.2 million seed round that will close in about 6 months. Currently, from our first family and friends round, we've raised 600,000 so far. So we have about 600,000 more to go. And that's going to fuel our 18-month growth period. How we're going to use those funds is we need more developers. So we want it to be able to build these mobile apps that are going to be coming in. So we want, to spend some of the money on mobile and web development. And for me as a CEO, I see the benefit of customer success, and I want to be able to start growing that team. And so we want to be able to invest some money there to make sure that this is successful. And then we want to invest some money in sales, you know, including like marketing and kind of growing a more robust sales funnel. So we're really excited about where we are and where we're going, and we're getting great feedback. And so with that, I'll end my presentation and say thank you and be happy to answer any questions that may come up.
Thanks. Yeah, great presentation. And we already have some questions in the Q&A here. I'll ask you in a second. If anybody has any more, feel free to. Looks like there's some more coming. Oh, compelling product. Great to hear. And yeah, so I guess, yeah, feel free to ask additional questions. But just kicking it off here, what's the ROI for nonprofits to use when taking it to their boards for approval? Or so like, what are they looking at most for that?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, it's hard to quantify the value of keeping families safe within a house. But I guess we can get close because there's been some houses around the country that have shut down. And so one of the hugest pieces of value that you know, a nonprofit CEO or, I mean, I've talked, you know, some volunteer managers are running this. It varies by house. But when they go to their board, they want to show them that this is going to be a tool that we can use to help ensure the safety of our families, being able to make requests from their own room, being able to request a shuttle without having to come down to the front desk, having a contactless check-in tool is really priceless, because if they do get a case in their house, they have to fully shut down. And it's a real big mark against them in their application process to reopen. So that is proving to be huge value. We look forward to prove monetary value with our fundraising channels. We're not quite there yet with our peer-to-peer fundraising tool. But as we get more families on there and we learn more, you know, I think part of the challenge with the B to B to C is that we got to get through the B to be able to start learning from the C. And so once we can kind of get really thoroughly through that to the C, we're going to be learning what that value is for fundraising. And so really it's the safety, it's the connection, it's ending the service cliff. So sorry, this is a long answer, but whenever you look at or talk to a nonprofit, they're always figuring out, how do we extend our continuum of care? How do we make it even longer throughout the process? And that means that they can raise more money because they're having a bigger impact. And so that's how we usually talk about it with houses, to kind of talk to their boards about the value. And then I have created presentations for our clients to be able to bring into their board meetings to get approval. So I hope that answers your question. That's exactly what we're looking to do right now in this phase that we're in. And we're looking at tons of different things for that.
Sounds great. Yeah, and then there was a question on how, or basically, how have you thought about the donor lead procurement for that portion of the platform, and how do they get the donors involved, and or how do they source and find them to get onto the platform there?
Yeah, totally. I think, you know, only one step at a time. So as a clinical psychologist, my passion is like with families and service delivery. And so I go back and forth. I'm like, man, I just should have started with fundraising, because that's where a lot of the money goes. But I want to follow my passions, and we're finding a lot of like-minded partners out there. And so we're not quite at the level of developing kind of the specific tools for the donors. So we're starting with inviting families in. And part of it is we want the partners to be on board and excited about it, and to help us build it, because they helped us build this first version. And that was a huge lesson I learned. And so we want them to be on board and to be able to build it out. But we have like a whole wireframe, and we've started talking with our current partners about it. But it would be inviting them to come in and download the mobile app. They'd be able to invite their friends into the mobile app. And really what you look at with kind of the new trends is, especially with Gen Z, is they want to know kind of what their actual impact is by being a part of the nonprofit. So the whole idea is going to be, look, we want to make it really easy to donate money, but we also want the nonprofit to be able to increase their transparency with how are they spending the money, you know, what is the impact, and targeted messaging, you know. And so one of the great apps out there is from the American Cancer Society, which is focused on purely fundraising. It's called Razor or something like that. I forget exactly, but it's a great model. And I think every nonprofit should be able to have access to something like that. So with our partners, we'll kind of work on developing that as we prove out each space one at a time. And then that obviously offers an upsell situation to nonprofits we work with. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. So we had a question. It's a great tool for nonprofits. I think you had mentioned this, but just to clarify, does it include HIPAA compliance for the clients?
Yeah, exactly. And that's been a really exciting space for us. So recently I've started to actually get some attention from outside of the nonprofit space because, you know, I didn't research this a ton, but we're really one of the only options to be able to have, you know, a white labeled HIPAA compliant mobile app. And yeah, I mean, we're getting kind of life coaches. We're getting social workers that are starting companies, because really when you look at it, our mobile app can be their company and their solution, right? That's what they're offering to their clients and customers. And so, yeah, we're totally HIPAA compliant. We went through that whole process. Everyone's gotten background checks and all that fun stuff. And so, yeah, it's actually turning out to be really advantageous for us. So I'm really glad we did that. But we knew we needed to, being in the health space, and me as a clinical psychologist, I knew that was what was going to have to happen.
And then, yeah, the last question here is, or how much of the product is currently is services and more customized services versus the technology, you know, technology implementation?
Yeah. Okay, Dan, you had to ask, right? I mean, there's no secret. I mean, we're definitely more of a service company right now. Because we want to do things that are unscalable in the beginning, you know, and then once we figure out what these nonprofits need, how they work, you know, how the functionality needs to be, we fully plan on being able to kind of make it a true quote unquote software as a service, where they can sign up and they can go in and be able to kind of create their mobile app. But, you know, with mobile apps, it becomes a little tricky because, you know, these nonprofits, a lot of them don't have these robust IT departments in them. And so it's not like we can have them apply and kind of submit their mobile app to the App Store. So there's certain things that we're going to be able to kind of automate and be able to enable it more by tech, which is going to be a fun pivot to go through for sure. I know that's always a challenge for service companies trying to move into that kind of software as a service and being able to, and so that's one of our challenges, and I'm, you know, it's going to be fun to go through and figure it out, but that's where we want to get it to. So yeah, for sure, we're definitely more of a service right now, and we are looking and planning to become more automated, kind of as that traditional software as a service. But unfortunately, in the mobile app space,
makes sense, and
that we have to do is keep as a service.
Right. I mean, I think that was like a Paul Graham from Y Combinator said that to do the things early on that aren't as scalable, that you need to, you know, really focus in on the customers, be more of a service, and then automate from there. So no, great presentation and answers all around. And yeah, again, we'll make the connections after the presentation for all the companies you guys are interested in. And yeah, we'll have some time after the last presentation here as well for a little bit more networking. Yeah, so thanks again, Patrick. And yes, we're looking forward to having you come up and present Luhu.
Hey.